Hello and welcome to the I Can Do podcast with Benjamin Lee. We're here to talk about tips and strategies to have an I can do mindset. Life is what you put into it. Get the most you can. Here's your host, Benjamin Lee.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of I Can Do. I'm so thankful that you are tuning in wherever you may be. My question for you today is very simple and yet very challenging. Who are we deceiving? Who are we deceiving? There's a sister at the congregation where I attend. Her name is Jane Ellen, and she has written for me before on my blog, benjaminlee.blog. I have a number of her writings. She sends out an encouraging email every week, something biblically based, something that is designed to challenge us in our walk with the Lord. Recently, she sent an email out that I want to share with you. It's called, Who Are We Deceiving? Let me read this to you. The word deceit or deceitful is in the Bible 67 times. The word deceive means to cause someone to believe something that is not true, typically in order to gain some personal advantage. The most sobering thought about deceit is that we can do it to ourselves. The Bible has a lot to say about self-deceit. In Jeremiah chapter 37 and verse 9, and in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18, we are told, do not deceive yourselves. This admonition would fall into the category that she calls God's tweets, a succinct command we are given with no instructions on how to accomplish the task. It should be obvious how to do what God commands. If it were not, he would have told us how to do it. Other verses tell us some things that cause us to deceive ourselves. Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 16 says, arrogance causes us to deceive ourselves. Galatians chapter 6, verse 3 says, if we think we are something, we deceive ourselves. James chapter 1, verse 22 says, if we hear God's word, but do not do it, we deceive ourselves. James chapter 1 and verse 26 says, if we think we are religious, but cannot control our tongue, we deceive ourselves. 1 John chapter 1, verse number 8 says, if we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves. So, when we deceive ourselves, we are causing ourselves to believe something that is not true about ourselves. Now, the question is, why would we do this? What good will it do? What do we think we will accomplish? Further, in James chapter 1, a person who deceives self is like a person looking in a mirror and then forgetting what he looks like. The opposite of self-deceit is a person who uses the Bible as his guidebook or his mirror and acts on what he reads. James chapter 1 and verse 25 says, this person will be blessed in his doing. So the question, are we reading God's word daily? Are we doing what God's word says for us to do? If not, who are we deceiving? That really made me I really had to pause after hearing that and reading that. We can certainly deceive ourselves. I will raise my hand up first and say I'm guilty. I have deceived myself before. Maybe we need to start thinking about this a lot more, about in what ways do we deceive ourselves? We often worry about what other people may be doing behind the scenes. But what are we doing right in front of ourselves, right in front of the mirror? Every day, are we deceiving ourselves? Think about that, most importantly, from a spiritual standpoint with our walk with God. We can also think about that, I think, in a lot of different ways, right? With our finances, with our health, with so much more. But most importantly, our faith is what matters. Our soul is what matters the most. Who are we deceiving? Let's not deceive ourselves. Rather, let's be blessed in all that we do by listening to what God has to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. May God bless each and every one of you. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of I Can Do. Stay strong, keep moving forward, keep that I can do mentality. And if you can, leave me a review and a rating so that this podcast can be heard by as many people as possible and so that others can be encouraged as well. Take care and God bless.